What's up, guys? Welcome back to Roensch Capital Charts. Today we're taking a look at Palantir stock, ticker symbol PLTR, on a variety of time frames in anticipation of the next trading day, Thursday, March 7th. Alright guys, Palantir stock today up $2.35 a share. That is 9.87% on news that the Army has chosen Palantir to build its next generation targeting system. Let's see what kind of bias we can pull out of the trading, the chart here today, as well as the options chain, and also take a look at crucial psychological technical levels that I'm going to be paying extremely close attention to here tomorrow, Thursday. Let's start by doing our kind of daily ritual here, our volume profile analysis on the 5-minute chart. By the way, if you have not done so already, please subscribe to the channel. Love to have you. My goal is to hit 5,000 subscribers, so happy to have you climb aboard, and I'll do my best to continue to provide you value every single day. So here on the 5-minute chart, what I'm really looking for, you guys know by now, right? I'm looking for big surges in volume that are outside of what is contextual for that particular time of day, but it has to correlate, of course, with an obvious move in stock price. So the two that I want to take a look at are that downside move kind of off the open, and then the first half of this recovery, okay? If we pull up the volume profile for both of those, what we really get is understand that it's typical to see kind of a U-shape in terms of volume, which we do have. We had a little bit of additional volume, a little longer this morning than may typically be expected. But truthfully, we saw a big fade after we saw a volume pop on the turn from that move upside to fade downside, and then along that fade, had we seen consistently higher volume, 6-7 million shares per 5-minute bar for 3, 4, 5 candles in a row, I would be saying that, look, it looks like the bears clearly won this move, because not all moves are created equal. You can have the same move essentially and have one side be much more obvious in terms of big sample size opinion from the market than the other. In this case, though, we really got kind of contextual volume aside from these two bars, which of course one green, one red on the turn. And then we got a very swift fade to what is contextual for that time of day. A little bit of an increase here in terms of the buying volume as we kind of got to the top of that recovery, at least that morning recovery. Honestly, this 5-minute chart for me today is kind of a wash. So let's move on to the 30-minute chart and start taking a look at psychological levels that I'm going to be watching here tomorrow. Of course, I have the most, self-fulfilling prophecy indicators possible, the ones with the most eyeballs, the 50-period moving average and the 200-period moving average. Now, if we look here, we had quite the move today, right? So we now find ourselves approximately 4.6% away from a downside test of that 50 period, at least as it sits right now on the 30-minute in particular. So bulls, really, I'm not ideally looking for a retest of that. What I would love to see, though, from a bullish perspective, is an aggressive continuation upside out of the moving average itself, because you can see it has now aggressively curled due to the aggressive nature of today's upside move. Again, nearly 10% at the close. So this 50 period has just barely covered $25 a share. I would love to see this thing tomorrow get above $25.50, maybe even head up toward 26. I mean, it is $1 higher here today, and I'd like to see that purely for the intention of getting some feet up underneath the move, like I always say, another psychological barrier to maybe help a little bit defend against the downside. Bears, for you guys, you want to see this thing flatten out as quickly as possible, ideally below $25.50, really. Now, let's move on here to the 4-hour chart and take a look. You can see that, that 50 period, while it was very much so in play, is now actually starting to get yanked up a little bit quicker than we might expect, just purely because of today's big move and the higher volume, much higher volume than is average on a move. I guess, to be expected on a nearly 10% move, but that is substantial volume, which bulls, it's not a bad thing. But again, a similar deal here. I really wouldn't want to see a retest of that 50 period if I am a bull, because that's about a 7.5% downside move away. Bulls, just a continuation upside. I would love to see that 50 period here on the 4-hour chart get above $25 a share, but understanding it's likely to take some time. So just aggressive curl to the upside toward $25 a share as soon as possible is really what I'm looking for on the 4-hour as a bull. Bears, a flattening out of that moving average would be a great thing to see, but again, we're quite a move away. So in the spirit of having this video be the most contextual possible for a day-to-day analysis heading into tomorrow, Thursday, I'm primarily focusing on the movement of the nearest psychological average, the 50 period, of course, itself, rather than talking about retests, when we're 7.5% downside away. Of course, if we were to see that we get some kind of catalyst or something of the sort, bulls, you'd want to see as high of a volume of a bounce as possible, and bears, high volume breakthrough to the downside. But again, that's a big downside move away, would likely take at least some kind of catalyst. So let's move on here to the most important chart of all, which is going to be the daily. This paints the clearest image possible, which in my opinion is the one I want to pay attention to, right? Because you can see here, the 50-day, the white line, the 200-day, the gray line, completely irrelevant, both below $20 a share, irrelevant, in terms of tomorrow, at least hopefully, right? So what's the clear story here today? The one that has the most eyeballs and is going to have the most decisions made around it? Well, we reclaimed that huge psychological level of $25 a share here today. We actually did pop above that, what has been acting as a kind of a resistance level as of late, $25.50. So from a bullish perspective here tomorrow, what I'm ideally looking for, a hold of that round number of $26 a share would be beautiful. Potentially even utilize that round number as kind of a trampoline of sorts on a high volume pull away up through that 26.75 recent high up toward that next round number of $27 a share. Palantir is still cheap enough, like from a dollar perspective, that we can treat every round number as a psychological level. Once you start getting up to 50 plus, especially 100 plus, each round number starts to become less and less relevant. And then you have to start kind of looking at each 5. And then, each 10, and then, 50 as the stocks get really, quote unquote, expensive from a dollar value perspective. Now, bears here tomorrow, if you're bearish on Palantir, ideally a hold below 26 as a resistance level, but really, I think giving up that 25.50, that would be the way to discourage as many bulls as possible quickly, especially, 25, but one step at a time here. And bears, your primary goal is to discourage as many bulls as possible, right? So a hold downside of 26, ideally really with a target of treating 25.50 as a support level once again, that would be what the bears would be looking for here tomorrow, in the spirit of getting down toward $25 a share yet again. Now, let's just quickly take a look at what was the options bias as traders position themselves. Oh my goodness, here today on Palantir, this is one of the craziest call put ratios I've seen, not only on this stock in recent memory, but on really any stock of, especially of this size in recent memory. 1.52 million total contracts traded today. 1.25 million of those were calls. 266,000 of those were puts. A huge call side bias on the overall ratio. And if we break this down by time frame, every single delta range is leaning to the call side, pretty heavily to the call side, by the way. And that short-term speculator range of 0 to 20, about 378,000 calls and about 94,000 puts. Listen, as always, make sure your risk is managed. The options traders can, of course, be wrong, but they're heavily biased today. Listen, if you're looking to learn how to trade or develop yourself as a trader into maybe a more advanced intraday scalper or something of the sort, think about joining our private trading group at that link in the pinned comment. We're going to start doing a lot more member exclusive training videos that get released to the members themselves alone, not public on YouTube. And also, of course, the daily benefits. I'm sending out my scalp setup alerts every single day. I'm sending out manually the in-play stock alerts. So these are stocks that come across my scanners and fit my criteria for stocks that I'm watching to scalp intraday. These are stocks that have the attention, based on a variety of parameters, have the attention of a lot of traders at that moment. Kind of the popular piece of equipment on the playground at that particular moment. Now, be aware, these stocks have to be traded with beautiful risk management, and you have to be very careful trading them. It's a more advanced strategy, but if they're traded properly, there is a lot of edge to be had in those names, again, if you're trading it well and with pristine risk management. So if that interests you, take a look at that link in the pinned comment. Hope to see you join. Again, if you got value out of this video, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.